Opeter's murder has sent shockwaves through Capua, and in Spartacus, House of Ashur Episode 7, every alliance is tested, every lie is exposed, and every character is pushed closer to the edge. Grief turns into rage, ambition turns into betrayal, and what should have been a simple auction becomes the most humiliating defeat Ashur has faced so far. Welcome back to your nerdy show. I'm your host, Spoiler Master. In this episode, we're breaking down Chorus's descent into vengeance, Achilia's brutal fall from champion to underdog, Cornelia's calculated betrayal, and the deadly ambush that nearly ends Ashur's story altogether. By the time this episode ends, the political game in Capua is no longer being played in shadows, it's turning into open war. Chorus's grief turns into rage. The episode opens with Chorus returning to the House of Ashur, but the man who comes back is nothing like the calm, intelligent doctor we've known so far. He is broken, furious, and completely unanchored. Only days earlier, he had walked away from the House of Ashur to begin a new life with Opeter, believing that love might finally allow him an escape from Capua's endless cruelty. Instead, he found Opeter butchered, his body left as a warning rather than a robbery. Ashur tries to comfort Chorus, but his attention quickly shifts to what concerns him most, Opeter's property. The villa, the ludus, and the gladiators were all assets Ashur had been coveting, and Opeter's sudden death changes everything. Before leaving the villa, both men notice a symbol smeared in blood on the wall, clearly meant to resemble the mark of the Cilician pirates. Chorus immediately accepts this explanation. Ashur does not. He has seen this trick before. The staged pirate attacks on Viridia and Casucia were nothing more than Caesar's handiwork disguised as foreign brutality. The pattern is too familiar to ignore, and Ashur instantly suspects that Julius Caesar may be pulling the strings once again. Chorus's grief spirals out of control. He refuses food, drinks himself to oblivion, and becomes so unstable that Ashur orders him locked inside a cell for his own safety. But even imprisonment cannot quiet his suspicions. Opeter had warned him about Caesar's threats following the failed attack on Gabinius's family, and the timing of the murder feels far too convenient. Eventually, Chorus breaks free and storms toward Cornelia's residence, determined to confront Caesar's representative directly. He fights through guards with shocking ferocity, driven by nothing but rage and loss. But Ashur had anticipated this exact outcome. Gladiators intercept Chorus before he can reach Cornelia, and he is dragged back in chains, now fully restrained and humiliated.
And would have you tarry among the living.
Ashur admits his role in Opeter's death. When Ashur visits Chorus, the truth finally comes out, and it hits harder than any blade. Ashur admits that Opeter's murder may never have happened if not for his own careless pride. In a public argument with Proculus earlier, Ashur openly boasted that Opeter's properties would soon belong to him. That conversation alerted Proculus to Opeter's plans to leave Capua, sealing the Lanista's fate. Proculus acted swiftly, ordering Opeter's death before he could escape. For Chorus, this revelation is unforgivable. In his eyes, Ashur's ambition indirectly killed the man he loved. What makes it worse is Ashur's insistence on patience. He promises revenge against Proculus, but only after the auction of Opeter's assets is settled. To Ashur, timing is everything. To Chorus, it sounds like betrayal layered on top of betrayal. Still, Ashur sees no alternative. Without money or leverage, striking now would only destroy them both. Achilia's return and public humiliation. While political games unfold, Achilia faces a very different kind of battle. After spending the previous episode severely injured and barely conscious, she finally returns to the training yard. The warriors welcome her back as their champion, still in awe of her victory at the Ludi Apollinaris. Tarchon, however, refuses to step aside. Having tasted power in her absence, he challenges Achilia openly, mocking her injuries and questioning her worthiness. Against her better judgment, Achilia accepts the fight, but her wounded hand betrays her almost immediately. Tarchon exploits it without hesitation, defeating her with ease and shattering her authority in front of everyone. What hurts Achilia even more is Spartacus's silence. She expects her lover to intervene, but he explains that as the new doctor of the Ludus, he must treat all warriors equally. His logic is sound, but emotionally devastating. Spartacus suggests a tactical shift, encouraging Achilia to abandon dual swords and return to the spear and shield. The suggestion terrifies her. The spear is tied to her deepest trauma, the accidental killing of a young girl in her village, possibly her own daughter. Picking it up again forces her to confront a past she has buried beneath blood and victories. When she finally agrees, her skill resurfaces instantly. For a brief moment, Achilia is untouchable, moving with terrifying precision, but trauma is not so easily outrun. A sudden flashback disrupts her focus, allowing Tarchon to defeat her again. Tarchon remains champion, and his arc takes a darker turn as he vows to fight not just for glory, but for freedom alongside his abused lover. This subplot hints at future rebellion brewing beneath the surface.
22.
The auction that changes everything. The auction of Opiter's properties becomes the episode's central turning point. Held publicly under Senator Gabinius's supervision, it is framed as a civic necessity, with proceeds supposedly earmarked for defending Capua against pirate attacks. Ashur and Proculus are the only serious bidders. Early on, things go surprisingly well for Ashur. When Proculus drops out at 27,000 denarii, Ashur believes he has won everything he ever wanted. But Chorus notices something chilling in the crowd. Satyrus of the brothers Ferox wears Opiter's pendant, unmistakable proof that Proculus's men were responsible for the murder. Ashur restrains Chorus once again, insisting the time for revenge has not yet come. Then, disaster strikes. When Ashur calls upon Cornelia to honor their agreement and pay for the purchase, she publicly denies any such arrangement and walks away. The crowd watches as Ashur stands frozen, unable to produce the money. His bid is nullified, and Proculus steps forward to claim the property with ease. The humiliation is absolute. Ashur loses Opiter's villa, Ludus, and gladiators, while his enemy gains everything.
Caesar does not involve itself in the affairs of lesser men.
Why Cornelia turns against Ashur. Cornelia's betrayal is not impulsive. It is calculated, informed by Cassudeia's interference. Caesar and Cornelia have been pushing for a marriage between Gabinius's daughter, Viridia, and Quintus Thermus, hoping to pull the senator away from Pompey's influence. Ashur was tasked with persuading Gabinius, but he did the opposite. He discouraged the marriage while secretly telling Cornelia that the deal was secured. Cassudia exposes this lie, revealing Ashur's double game. Realizing she's been manipulated, Cornelia chooses the most devastating response possible. She destroys Ashur publicly, severing any trust between their houses and escalating tensions to a dangerous new level. The assassination attempt and Cassudeia's double game. The episode's final act shifts into pure survival mode. Ashur receives an invitation to a secret meeting with Gabinius and the Aedile, supposedly to discuss Proculus's crimes. Unknown to him, Proculus has already learned that Ashur knows the truth about Opiter's murder. Cassudia appears to side with Proculus, encouraging him to eliminate Ashur. But in a final twist, she secretly warns Ashur of the ambush. Her goal is chaos, not loyalty. A feud between the two houses increases her own leverage as a potential mediator. Ashur arrives prepared, surrounded by gladiators, including Chorus. When the brothers Ferox strike, the trap collapses into open violence. Chorus finally unleashes his rage, killing two of the brothers with merciless efficiency. He spares Satyrus deliberately, sending him back as a message to Proculus. Ashur survives, but the cost is clear. The political war has fully ignited. Alliances are shattered, and patience is no longer an option. What Episode 7 really sets up. By the end of Episode 7, House of Ashur makes one thing painfully clear. No one is safe, and no alliance is permanent. Chorus reclaims his role as doctor, no longer paralyzed by grief, but sharpened by vengeance. Achilia stands at a crossroads, forced to confront both physical and emotional wounds. Ashur, stripped of power and dignity, must now fight from a position of weakness. Every betrayal, Every lie and every act of violence in this episode pushes the story closer to open war. And with enemies on all sides, Ashur's greatest danger may no longer be his rivals, but the consequences of his own ambition. Our nerdy thoughts. Episode 7 proves that Spartacus' House of Ashur is no longer just about survival, it's about retaliation. Ashur has been publicly humiliated. Chorus has finally chosen vengeance over grief, and the lines between ally and enemy have completely collapsed. With Proculus holding Opiter's empire, Cornelia turning her back, and Cassudia playing both sides, Capua is standing on the edge of all-out war. If you thought this episode was brutal, what's coming next is going to be even bloodier. Let me know in the comments who you think will fall first when the feud finally explodes, and whose betrayal shocked you the most. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe for more Spartacus recaps and deep dives, and I'll see you in the next one.
No, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.